Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. On the last episode, we finally cut this guy, shortened it, and welded it back together. So on this episode, I'm going to finish up this area, and we're going to build the rear crossmember, finish off all the modifications we have to do to this frame. Now, as you guys can see, I've dressed the welds on the outside of the frame rails. I've also knocked them down a little bit on the inside of the frame rails. And since I've been showing you the process so far on how to overdo the living shit out of this, might as well keep going in the same vein, and we're going to add a little bit more strength to the area still by adding fish plates. So what are fish plates? Seriously? Not exactly what I had in mind. Okay, a fish plate is what you do with you add another plate of steel on top of your welded area. Ideally, a fish plate is going to be the same thickness as the material that you have cut. And again, just like our zigzag pattern was adding weld area to make it stronger, and it was also spreading the load and the stresses in a whole bunch of different area, by adding another plate of steel on top of your weld and welding it all around, again, you're adding more weld area to help tie everything together, and again, you're spreading the load in different directions. That works especially well if you use an odd-shaped plate or one that at least has different angles to the weld that you originally are covering, right? Like, for example, on our welds here, we have a long horizontal line. So if we use a rectangle plate, the top and bottom of the plate and the original weld are all in the same plane. Of course, it still adds some strength because we're added weld area and we're adding a second thickness of metal. But if you use a oddball shape, like a diamond shape, or in my case, I'm going to use an oval shaped plate, again, the loads are going to be in different pans, like different directions. So that should hold your sections together so that the original weld can't crack and separate. Right? It adds an extra layer of strength to your area. So let's get to it. While I've got the plasma cutter out, I guess this is as good a time as any to make the announcement. I've decided that to show my appreciations for your guys' support, I'm going to be giving away one of those plasma cutters to one of you subscribers. Okay, not that plasma cutter. That one's 10 years old, looks like crap. I'm going to be giving you one of these plasma cutters, right? Which is basically a brand new version of that machine. Could this be the best plasma cutter on the planet? No, it's not. It's just a cheap little Chinese machine. But hey, it beats cutting stuff with a hacksaw, trust me. So what I'm going to do, whenever my subscriber count hits 1,000, I will take one of those online YouTube subscriber random picky thingies, and I will pick one random subscriber, and I will send you this brand new plasma cutter.
Absolutely free.
So all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. I know it's down there somewhere. And who knows, maybe you'll be the lucky person to walk away with a plasma cutter. So that does it for the fish plates. Hopefully you guys get an idea. There's something about my camera and my plasma cutter that don't like each other. Every time I tried recording myself plasma cutting, something happened to the camera and the recording would actually crash. So hopefully you get a good idea. Now that that's done, let's attack that rear cross member. Okay, to make the rear cross member, I went to my local steel yard and I bought a piece of 2x4 hollow tubing. The reason I picked tubing, even though the frame itself is made out of channel, is because frame rails are actually stamped at the factory, right? It's a piece of plate that is put in a giant press and they roll the edges. So if you look at the edge of the frame rails, I'll put a still image here so you can see, the corners are rounded. If you ever go to a steel yard and you buy a piece of channel, that channel is extruded so the corners are going to be square. Whereas tubing is also rounded kind of in the same process as this thing, so it has rounded corners. So I figured that tubing would probably blend in better with the frame rails than channel would. Now one of the things I'm going to run into, when I had the box on last, I actually measured where that rear mount needed to be, and it had to be 13 1/8 of an inch away from the bottom lip of this cross member. Somewhere out here, which means that with my added 2 inches of this thickness, my frame rails that are left over are still going to be too short. So I'm going to have to cut these guys perfectly square and actually use a little piece of the tubing to extend the rails so that I can input my cross member where it needs to be so that the mount is properly located on top of the cross member. So let's get to it. And of course, again, as soon as I hit the trigger on the plasma cutter, the recording froze up. So let me just reenact this part for you guys. Zap, zap, buzz, buzz, you know, you get the point. So if you're wondering what I'm doing here, the owner asked me if I could save the homemade trailer hitch because he said that's what he would have done back in the day. So he thought it was funny. The only thing is that it's within the cross member, so it's actually is going to have to be within this one as well. So right now I was just cutting windows so I can run it through. I'll position my cross member, weld everything solid and centered. And once I know everything's in position, then I can just weld the hitch to the rear cross member, tie everything together, make it nice and solid. So let's keep going. Well, that about does it for our frame modifications. Our cross members in. I still have to set the trailer hitch when I know exactly how far back it needs to be. Got a little more grinding to do. I'll do that off camera. I won't keep you guys. And I also have to re-drill the mounting holes for the box because I noticed when the box was on there that the distance between the holes is not quite the same on an M68 as it is on an M1. Luckily though, the frame rails are the same distance apart. So it's really just a matter of figuring out where they go and drill new holes in the top of the rails and also drill new holes in my new cross member. But after that, if I get the hardware that I ordered for the box, I should be able to put the box back on permanently in the next episode, hopefully. But for now, like I said, I won't keep you guys. This video has probably been long enough already. I'll see you guys next time in the garage.